El exec, el exec, el exec. El Vélez, el Vélez, el Vélez. El fenómeno que todos quieren ser. El chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? How we doing? Episode 86 of the Exec Talk, where I am your host, Ovalez. How are we doing today? Well, it's going to be a kind of quick episode because not a lot of things have happened over the last few days. We got Formula One testing that just happened. At least practice, not testing, practice 1 and practice 2. I got the shades on today. You know what I'm saying? Got the shades on today. Different type of shades. That's what we're going to bring. We'll bring a new flavor every episode. I don't have a lot. I don't have like 30 different pairs, but I got a few that we can use. But how we doing today? First of all, we're gonna talk a little bit of baseball. We're gonna talk about a little bit of Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He did his debut. Shohei, he did his debut for the Dodgers. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna go through some of the NBA action, not just the standings, but some of the NBA action that has happened over the last few days, some of the performances and all that. We're going to talk about Formula One, how it's kind of shaping up through practice. Practice 1 and practice 2 happened this morning. I watched practice 2 in its entirety, was very surprised about what I saw, but at the same time, I kind of saw some tendencies that we might see in the race this Saturday. And we're going to talk about a little bit about the NFL Combine. It starts today. The big guys are going, D-line, I believe D-ends, and offensive linemen, if I'm not mistaken. I'll check that, but that's what's going on today. We're going to touch on a little bit of things on the free agency side of things, what I think might happen, might not happen. We'll talk about a little bit of quarterback. It's going to be, quick in and out today, because I think next episode, will be an episode where I break down the combine and we break down the first Formula One Grand Prix. We get into the weeds with the draft a little bit, see what's happening with the combine trades and stuff like that. But all that is kind of boiling up right now. So, to start off with, thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting. We release here every Tuesday and Thursday. Appreciate all the support. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on all the socials. Link is in the description. All right. So without further ado, first order of business. Let's talk about Formula One. So Formula One practice in the qualifying setup. So what that means is like you're trying to go for lowest amount of fuel in the car and highest speed, so the fastest lap. I was a little surprised. We saw a Mercedes 1-2 in practice, in final practice 2, by like 0.4 over Verstappen. And Verstappen was like 5th. I don't know if that means that Red Bull has kind of not turned up the engine yet. There was some rumors throughout practice that maybe Ferrari and Red Bull had not gone to the most aggressive engine map and engine mode. So based on that, we can kind of maybe take it a little bit with a grain of salt with Mercedes, but they seem very competitive, at least in qualifying pace. However, in the longer run, which was the second half of practice when they put on the mediums and went on for a long run, Verstappen was still a little quicker. He was doing 136s while everybody was kind of in the 137s, closer to the 138s. And we're talking about 14, 15, 16 laps on the same set of tires. So overall race pace, Verstappen and Red Bull might have the advantage, which is what we come to expect. We expect maybe Ferrari to be at least last year to be competitive in the qualifying, but when we get to race pace, for some reason, the Red Bull just kind of takes off and doesn't leave anybody to try to challenge. The good thing about this season that I found out was that the DRS, so when the wing pops open when you're less than a second behind your opponent, it used to come up after 2 laps. The FIA, which is the governing body of the Formula One, changed it to after the first lap. And I think that this will bring a certain level of urgency and of strategy, because last year, if you gave Verstappen 2 laps, especially if he got off clean from the start of the race, because most of the time he was on pole, he would get away from you, the second place car, more than a second in 2 laps. He'll put out a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds, and then you'll never see him again for the rest of the race being challenged. So by turning that into 1 lap, it gives a little bit of a more chance to, let's say, Lando, Leclerc, or Lewis, or even Fernando is behind him, stay pretty close to him on the first lap as tires get warm and the cars start really settling in. But as soon as that first lap is done, you have the ability to be within a second. And if you're there, maybe you have a chance to challenge for the lead. I think it'll be exciting. They did it to emphasize more overtaking at earlier stages of the race. Like I said, last year was kind of like wait for the second lap and literally hope that Verstappen was not over a second ahead from the second place car. So that change in regulation and stipulation in the races, I think it'll definitely benefit the competition and be more exciting. Not expecting really any real challenge this weekend. I would be very surprised if it's not a Verstappen win, and by a considerable margin. I'm not saying 30-40 seconds, but we'll see in practice 3 tomorrow, and in qualifying tomorrow morning, how the grid is kind of set up. Verstappen could definitely lock up the pole. I think Leclerc has a shot at it. I think Lewis has a shot at it. Maybe even George Russell, if McLaren figures it out. Possibly McLaren and Lando. Oscar Piastri was running actually faster than Lambo today, which was kind of surprising, but Oscar Piastri is a hell of a driver himself. But I don't expect anybody to be at Red Bull's level in race pace on Saturday. So hopefully I'm wrong, but as of right now, that's the talk around the paddock and around the pit area, is that Max and Red Bull have not turned up the car yet, and that it's most likely going to be pretty dominant, the Red Bull car. Moving on to MLB. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the stellar 12-year, $337 million contract, $327 million contract that he signed for the Dodgers this offseason. He did his first spring training start, and, pretty solid. I saw his first strikeout. It was against, I believe, the Padres and Xander Bogaerts, if I'm not mistaken, so a good hitter. Or maybe it was against the Braves. It might have been Austin Riley. Either way, the guy looks like he's legit. The hype about him possibly winning Rookie of the Year, or maybe even a Cy Young as a rookie, I see the potential. I see that the ability for that to happen. The guy is absolutely nasty. The delivery looks effortless. He's a pinpoint thrower. Gets you to chase. Has a good fastball, good life on it. So we're just going to see how hitters adjust this first year, and he adjusts to hitters this first year when he does challenge them inside the zone. We have hitters like Yordan Alvarez and Corey Seager, even though that's the AL. In the NL, you have Ronald Acuna. People like Austin Riley and Matt Olson, that can punish you if you leave stuff in the zone. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, these guys will make you pay if you leave stuff in the zone, because they are trained now. Before, it used to be if it's in the zone, and you feel like you could hit it, go after it. Now, guys are getting taught bat path. And what that means is basically, instead of sticking to anywhere around the zone, try to make a pitcher pitch you into your sweet spot. And the pitcher's trying to avoid your sweet spot. But the thing is, for these hitters, for a Freddie Freeman, for a Ronald Acuna, for a Bryce Harper, the sweet spot is so big and so massive. A guy like Aaron Judge, Ohtani, Jordan Alvarez, Corey Seager, the best of the best in this league, in MLB, do a very good job at not chasing. So let's say you throw a slider, it starts inner half, so it starts as a strike, but he doesn't commit. He sees the spin, and it's a ball. Well, if that leads to a 2-0 count, 3-0 count, 3-1 count, as a pitcher, you have to go in the zone. And what that does to a pitcher is, if he's not prepared to and convicted in the pitch that he's throwing, he can make a mistake, and a mistake will usually change the scoreboard in one way or another. So against those guys. So I think Yoshinobu is going to hit some hurdles, maybe mid-season, when people start seeing him 2-3 times, especially in the NL. People like the Phillies and the Braves and Padres. But overall, I think that there is a possibility that he can keep his ERA under 3 and around. He was a 1.8 in the MPB over there in Japan. So I believe that most likely you're going to look at a guy maybe stay in the 2.8, 2.6. He could be around that elite level of starter. This guy's 25 years old. It's not like he's a puppy, coming. This guy has won 3 MVPs, 3 championships, has led the league in ERA in the MPB for the last 5 years, and strikeouts and innings. So this guy is pretty legit. So I'm very excited to see Yoshinobu in the regular season. His teammate, Shohei Ohtani, Mr. 700 mil, Mr. 10-year 700 mil, got up for his second at bat. I believe it was the 5th inning. And although Roberts is not giving away his actual lineup with the players that he has, it's whatever lineup he really chooses, as long as I don't think you would put, you put Mookie 1 just because he's been so good at that leadoff spot for years. You put Freddie or Ohtani 2. Either you give Freddie coverage in the sense of, like, if Ohtani gets on base, Freddie's going to make you pay. Or you give Ohtani coverage, putting a surefire hitter, 330 average guy that can get on base pretty consistently and run the bases pretty well in Freddie Freeman, and give Ohtani coverage to force the pitcher to not make a mistake. And with Ohtani, a mistake is going 450 plus and 110 off the bat, and you're not going to see it again. So he hit his first home run, Oppo, beautiful swing, kind of inside pitch, and he just kind of gave it an Ohtani swing and took it Oppo. Really impressive. It looks like the Tommy John worked. As a hitter, he looks good. He looks like for a good base. The thing that I look in MLB season to season is body. Did you get fatter? Did you stay lean? Did you possibly get stronger? For a guy like, let's take a disappointment from last year, Javi Baez. He looked fatter than what he used to when he won the World Series with the Cubs, where he was skinny. He's kind of taken the Miguel Cabrera route. It's funny because he plays for the Tigers when Miguel Cabrera was fat. So I think that hopefully a guy like Javi and people like that kind of get a little heavy, Vladdy and stuff like that. You saw Alex Manoah this offseason, lost like the 30 to 40 pounds. Maybe that helps him pitch this year because, the Blue Jays are expecting him to. The Yankees look good. Juan Soto hit his first bomb. Looks like Juan Soto. Aaron Judge looks healthy. I'm excited to see Marcus Stroman, Garrett Cole, Rodon. They have a pretty good starting rotation. The last guy is Nestor. He might have a good year. It's always up in the air with him, but overall, I think that they do have a good rotation, starting with Garrett Cole and then having Rodon and Stroman. The lineup looks pretty beefy. A lot of swing and miss, besides Soto, which is one of the least swing and miss guys in the league. But really exciting and encouraging what they've shown in spring training so far. It's only been a couple games, but really good what I see from the Yankees. Other than that, I'm excited to see, the continuation of growth from guys like Bobby Witt, J-Rod, Adley Rutschman. I want to see a guy like Jackson Holliday on the Orioles get his first start. I want to see Wyatt Langford out of UF, last year's number 2 or number 3 pick to the Rangers. I believe he will be in the starting lineup this year. Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain, all the young stars that we saw last year, Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, Gabriel Moreno, all the young stars that we saw last year, seeing if possible, if you can hear my birds, they're going nuts. If we can see maybe Nolan Arenado get back to his, Gold Glove, good bat form, maybe Paul Goldie, and that means Paul Goldschmidt. A signing for the Marlins, a $5 million prove-it deal for Tim Anderson. Maybe he can get back to his all-star form. We hope. He came from a horrible situation in the White Sox. Maybe his attitude gets better being in Miami, and adds to our lineup. People are really not even sleeping on us. They said they were going to suck, which I can laugh at it, but I can also respect it because of our division. And just because we had a lot of luck last year, we don't know what Sandy's going to give us. He's coming off a bad year, so hopefully he gets back to Sandy Alcantara, the Cy Young winner. Sixto Sanchez, we don't know what's going to happen with him, even though he's had spring training and throwing. A guy like Yuri Perez, are we actually going to throw him? Are we still on a pitching count with him? Will the bullpen be as good with Brazoban and everything like that? Will be as good this year? We don't know. We lost Jorge Soler, which was our big bat. We got Tim Anderson. Arias, I'm hoping that he finds the power stroke this year. Even if it's like 15, 20 home runs, it'll help. If he has a 350 batting average. Jake Berger, Josh Bell probably is going to be our big bat. Maybe we do something at the trade deadline later on in the season, but I don't see any real optimism for getting high up in the standings this year for the Marlins, but we'll see. Other than that, excited for Acuna. Excited for Julio Rodriguez. I really think that he's going for the MVP this year. Not individually, not like he's chasing for it, but I feel like he's going to put up a season worthy of it and have the Seattle Mariners in position to possibly have a top seed, if not a top 2 seed in their respective division and league. I like the Reds this year a lot. Hunter Green is fully healthy. Lodolo hopefully is fully healthy. Ashcraft. They got that kid. I forgot. I think his name is Ben, but I forgot his last name. Oshlot, something like. Really good pitcher last year that they debuted. Of course, you got Ellie, you got Steer, you got McClain. I want to see O'Neal Cruz in the Pirates. See what they do there. I like Mitch Keller in the rotation. He might be a dark horse Cy Young candidate this year. Blake Snell is still a free agent. Belly staying with the Cubs, which is good. I think that they needed him. He's the big bat. He's the possibly dark horse MVP candidate if they do well and he goes back to his Belly self, his World Series self, that he was at the Dodgers. But overall, the baseball season looks very interesting. We have to see what the Rays do now that they don't have Wander. Can the Rangers repeat their success from last year? That offense was extremely scary, top to bottom, 1 through 9. Was incredible. Will DeGrom pitch this year? We still don't know what's going to happen with Max Scherzer. Montgomery still a free agent. Is Nathan Eovaldi going to be their number 1? A lot of different things. Houston still in the mix. They got Josh Hader. It's pretty crazy. Abreu 7th, Presley 8th, Josh Hader 9th. I mean, if you are losing to that team heading into the 7th inning, good luck. Okay, good luck. I don't think that you might get out of that alive, unscathed. As it pertains to striking out and not putting runs on the board, if even any hits. But yeah, excited for the baseball season. Real excited that spring training is back and we're seeing these players perform. On the NFL side, L'Jarius Sneed was informed that he will be tagged, but that he has the freedom to go seek a trade from a team, to go seek an offer. This is very, very important. I want to really emphasize this because this means that they have no choice. If they're going to tag L'Jarius Sneed, they have no choice but to pay Chris Jones. And that is paramount. You need to pay Chris Jones. So right now we're on kind of pins and needles, what the contract is going to be at. The tag would have been like at 28, 29 million. The contract I expect is going to be closer to 30. Approaching the Aaron Donald type of range. I mean, he deserves it. The guy's a 3-time Super Bowl champ, has been a absolute key piece in the dynasty that Kansas City has built over these last 6 years. So I think that overall they're going to find a way. They're going to keep him. I don't know about L'Jarius. It might throw a wrench in their plans on the outside. They do draft well at cornerback. They drafted Charvarius Ward. They drafted L'Jarius Sneed, McDuffie, Watson, Joshua Williams, Cook, the safety who's going to come back this year from injury. So, you know, I'm not worried if I'm a Kansas City fan. As in, if we lose the L'Jarius Sneed, but then again, he is a star corner in this league and a shutdown corner that has not allowed a touchdown on himself, I think, in 2 years, which is pretty crazy at the cornerback position, considering the talent that is at that wide receiver position and the schemes that are made to get people open and off press coverage and a coverage from a certain guy in the league. So other than that, we have the combine. The top 3 quarterback prospects are not working out in any capacity. I talked about this, so I'm not gonna reiterate and the spiel that I did last episode. But all I want to say is, if that's how they want to go about it, then teams should look for, when they do interview them, and they've already interviewed. Drake May has interviewed with the Bears and Commanders and a lot of teams, and they've all been interviewed. But what we're gonna get after the combine is how these guys talk, the mentals. Because if you're not gonna show me your athleticism on the field or your throwing ability or anything like that, okay, don't do it. The tape is gonna sell me. And what you tell me on the board, and when I have that 15-minute meeting and I bring you into the 30-day visits, 30-team visits, I think that's where you make your decision if you're the Bears, Commanders, and Patriots. It's mocked right now that J.J. McCarthy's going to the Broncos. I can't see any better landing spot for that kid than with Sean Payton, if I'm being honest. Sean Payton's going to lead the ship just like Harbaugh did. He's a proven coach, Super Bowl champ, an offensive genius, and a quarterback guru. So if he gets that 5-star athletic body of J.J. McCarthy, and he instills it with quarterback principles, as well as he's known to be a good processor and stuff like that coming from Michigan, I would not. There would be no other better candidate, in my humble opinion, whether you say Bo Nix, Michael Penix, for the Broncos, and that would be a good stepping off point, especially in the division that you're in, that you have to face Justin Herbert and Mahomes, so you need an athletic freak at the position. A lot of defensive chatter that is not in the top 10. It's possible that we go offense 1 through 10. That's considering 3 top wide receivers, 3 top quarterbacks, and 3 top offensive tackles in Fashanu, Fuaga, and Joe Alt. Now, how it's all divvied up 1 through 10 will be interesting. I think the top 3 will be Caleb, Jaden, Drake May. I think that's how it's going to fall. They're not going to work out, so I don't have to wait till the combine's over to say this. I've seen tape on all 3 of them. I've seen them all 3 play. I think it's going to go Caleb 1. He said, and his agent said that, or his team said that he, and I quote, he said, "I would love to be a Chicago Bear if I get drafted there. I'm excited." So it seems that all the narratives of I want ownership on the team and I don't want to be drafted, all the Joe Burrow type of things that happen and the Eli Manning things that were being said, seems like it's all bullshit. So like I said, once you're offered the ability to get drafted number 1 overall in the NFL draft, I don't think you turn that down, not just for the money, but also the legacy and the stature of like you're a number 1 pick of a respective draft in the NFL, especially being a quarterback. Now, there is people that are kind of in the same building, within the structure and executives of the NFL. There's a lot of differing opinions on the quarterbacks, but I believe in the Mel Kipers, the Dan Orlovskis, the people that really break down tape, the Brett Coleman's on YouTube, QB School, those type of channels and stuff like that. That franchise guy. I believe in the breaking down of tape. And I believe it's going to go Caleb, Jaden, Drake May. I believe that Caleb is going 1 because he's just the best prospect. It's a whole new contract. It gives you the runway. And you also have the 9th pick to surround him with a top receiver along with DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet. I believe Washington will go Jaden Daniels just because Cliff Kingsbury enjoys an athletic quarterback. Look at Kyler. Look at Pat Mahomes at Texas Tech. He was with Caleb at USC as a QB coach / advisor under Lincoln Riley. So, in my humble opinion, I believe that they will lean more Jaden Daniels. Considered the best deep ball thrower in this class. Yes, above Michael Penix. He has a whippy arm. Is accurate downfield. Knows how to place a ball against leverage. Granted, he had 2 superstar wide receivers on the side, but so did Joe Burrow. And he was a great deep ball thrower. So, I think Jaden will go Commanders. I think that is the way that they should go based on who they have on offense. I don't know if they will sit him and put Sam Howell to start and then work Jaden in. Jaden does come from the SEC, so if you were going to throw him into the fire, I don't think that he would have nearly as much trouble, especially at his size, being 6'4", unlike Bryce or maybe even Caleb, that people think that, they saw him on tape, they thought he was taller, they see him in real life, and he seems shorter than what they expected. What I'm really interested in is who's going to take the cornerbacks, who's going to take those D tackles, who's going to take Tavondre Sweat, who's going to take Latu. He's kind of projected to us, the Dolphins. I would love him. That would be a great pairing next to Jalen Phillips. You got a technician and an athletic freak and a speed demon with Phillips, and then Latu is an absolute technician at the position, TJ Wattish type of hands and just the ability to play the position in a nuanced and very expert way, older than his years. The medicals is what's going to be with him. So with Michael Penix, So all these guys are going to move back and forth. Who's going to take the number one corner? Who will be the number one corner? Is it Nate Wiggins? Is it Terrion Arnold? Is it Kool-Aid McKinstry? All those questions are very interesting to me. What's the Chiefs going to do at 32? Either they trade up to go get a wide receiver, or they stay put and take a Troy Franklin, maybe an Xavier Worthy. I don't believe Adonai Mitchell will be there at 32, but maybe he falls a little bit and they take Adonai Mitchell. We've seen weirder things before with guys like George Pickens going into the second round. So in the last few drafts, I believe that they're going wide receiver. I don't think that they'll sign a wide receiver. This is my take. I haven't heard anything, but I don't think that Brett Veach and Andy Reid will sign a wide receiver. I don't think that they will hamper themselves financially. I think they know how to build through the draft, and they've done a really good job at it. So I expect either Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin, or Adonai Mitchell to be their pick at 32. If they do trade up, if you think about who could be there possibly if they trade up to, to get this type of dude, maybe you have to trade up into the top 15, so it's highly unlikely. Brian Thomas Jr., Keon Coleman, if they want any of those kind of guys, a little bit more explosive, more big-time receiver prospects, then maybe in the top half of the top 15. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll keep their picks. They'll wait for either Troy Franklin or Xavier Worthy if they do want that deep threat, or they want that, complement to Kelsey in the red zone and get an Adonai Mitchell. They let go of MVS, so that tells me more that they're leaning more Troy Franklin, Xavier Worthy like prospect in speed and take the top off a defense type of ability, because they do not have that on the roster right now. No, I do not count Kadarius Toney. That is not a big play receiver to me. He's more of a gadget guy. So I think that they're definitely looking for a guy like Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin. So we'll see how they test Adonai Mitchell. We'll see how they test in the combine. I believe that the risers will be a guy like Malik Neighbors will cement himself as the number 2 based on his speed and change of direction. He's kind of got that twitch of like a Zay Flowers, that shake at the top of his routes, the start and stop of like a Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. That's what they like about him. I think Rome Odunze is going to cement himself at number 3. Excellent vertical pop. Will test pretty good in the 40. Maybe run a 4.5. I think that's safe for him. Classic DeAndre Hopkins type. If he goes any faster, it's gravy, because everything else he's going to test out the charts. He's going to jump out the gym. He's going to broad jump out the gym. He's going to look good in his routes and in drills. I'm not worried about him. I think the guy that has the most to gain is Brian Thomas Jr. Out of LSU. Malik Neighbors, basically Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson. If you look at Malik Neighbors as a Jamar Chase athletic freak guy, Brian Thomas is not in the same mold as Justin Jefferson. A lot bigger. A lot more of a kind of deep threat DK Metcalf type. So I think he has a lot to gain as well. I think he's going to test off the charts. He's probably going to run really well. If he runs 4.4 or anything under that, I believe that his stock is going to rise. I don't know if it'll rise above Keon Coleman. But then again, all these organizations have a different type of testing criteria and grade scales. So my top 3 wide receivers right now, pre-combine: Marvin Harrison Jr., not testing, Malik Neighbors, Odunze, Keon Coleman, Brian Thomas, Adonai Mitchell. That's what I'm looking at. Top 5 wise, I know none of the speed guys are there. Maybe, of course, you count Malik and Marvin because of their unique bodies. Malik is 6'6", 190, 195, and then 6 foot, 190, 195, and then you have a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. who's 6'4", 215. So, he's not testing, so it's going to be based on tape for him. Maybe he runs in his pro day. Who knows? But I believe that it's Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, 1, 2, 3 for wide receivers. I believe that the quarterbacks are Caleb, Jaden, Drake. They all have their different, you have the creativity with Caleb Williams. You have the running ability and, kind of flashiness of Jaden Daniels without throwing the ball away into turnovers. I think he had the best completion to interception ratio in this class. So he takes care of the football while throwing deep, which is something that it was a trait of Patrick Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech. So that'll be good, but it's all gonna come. And then Drake May is literally your Justin Herbert, Josh Allen prototype, super athletic, can run through tackles, big arm. So not all three of them are not testing, so we can't see them throw. I believe that the strongest arm is Drake May. I believe that the most accurate arm is Jaden Daniels, and I believe that the most wow throw guy is probably Caleb Williams. What's gonna make or break these prospects, I believe overall, will be can they process? How's the mind? Do one of them have photographic memory like Mahomes? Are they elite processors? I think are they elite leaders? Are they hard workers? Do they have a chip on their shoulder? All that really encompasses that quarterback position more than the strength and speed and what you see on the field, because this is going to be the leader of your franchise, especially for all these three franchises who are void of that person at the moment at the helm. So that's the combine. We will see here at 3:00 is when they start the workouts. I will be paying really close attention to the DTs and the DNs. I really want to see what Jared Verse does, Chop Robinson, Latu. If Latu even gets mid-tier type of grades, or even upper mid-tier type of workout, I think it's going to work towards his favor, because everything else on tape is technically sound. I think he's going to really show out in the drills, not necessarily in the broad jump, vertical, or the 40. When I look at the 40 for DNs and D tackles, this is just like the offensive line. You know what we're looking for. We're not looking for the 40. What we're looking for is that 10-yard split. I believe is a 1-1. The 10-yard split you're looking for. Anything under 110, I think a 1 second 1.1 is what we're looking for. That's the sweet spot. Anything under that is incredible. Actually, last year I think it was a 1.6 10-yard split for D tackles. I believe it was 1.5 for D ends and 1.6 also for offensive linemen. I got to check that again, but what I'm watching for is the 10-yard split. Why? Because the 10-yard split shows your get off. So your classic Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt, just absolute blazing off the ball, Von Miller. And then from there, the motor. I need to see how are you in the drills when they tell you get up, go out, slap. How's your technique? How's your balance? How's your bend? All that. For D tackles, that's very important. It shows an anchor. Tavondre Sweat showed up at 346, 345, or somewhere around that threshold. That's what he played at, so that bodes well for him. That means he's going to be at a good showing weight for the combine. I'm very interested in Chris Jenkins, the guy, the D tackle from Michigan. I'm very interested in Latu, like I said, Jared Verse, Chop Robinson out of Penn State. These guys that have been kind of hyped up. There's not a lot of defensive hype around this draft. At the cornerback position, safety position, linebacker position, especially, I haven't heard anything crazy. All I hear is Kool-Aid McKinstry, Nate Wiggins, Terrion Arnold, Cooper DeJean. That's what we're hearing. It's mostly offensive. It's mostly, the top three quarterbacks, the top three tackles, and Fashanu, Joe Alt, Fuaga. You got, and then your wide receivers. I haven't heard anything about running backs. I haven't heard, even though Jordan Brooks coming off the ACL is still the number one running back on everybody's big board. I think they'll go way later, second, third round. I think that's when the run might start. There's some good ones, but it's not as elite as quarterback, tackle, and wide receiver in this draft class. Moving on to the NBA. If we go through the games that happened yesterday, I did not like that the Clippers gave up a 21-point lead to the Lakers and lost. You can't do that. I just don't understand what the reason is. The Pelicans lose to the Pacers after being the 5th seed in the West. I feel like they should have won that game, but Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam are playing absolutely great, so shout out to them finding their rhythm. The Mavericks are playing really good. Luka just turned 25. He dropped a 30-point triple-double on his birthday. Kyrie's playing absolutely phenomenal. They beat the Raptors 136-125. Timberwolves 110-101. They were losing all game to the Grizzlies at home. I didn't like what I saw. But then, old reliable, baby. Ant Edwards turns up and drops 34, 4 and 2 and 4, 11 of 21. So, pretty efficient. 1 for 6 from 3. Don't like that, but at least he closed out the game. Naz Reid with 19. 4 from 6 from 3. So they had the others stepped up. Towns only had 13. He went 3 for 7 from 3. Gobert had 8. So, they won against the Grizzlies. They had to. They were at home. They needed to. The Kings stayed in it for the most part against the Kings, but against the Nuggets. But it's gonna. This is why Denver's my favorite in the Western Conference and to win it all is because once. Jamal put in 32. It looks like he's back 5 for 6 from 3, 13 of 15 from the field. I mean, super efficient. 32 points, 3 and 6, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. You got Jokic. He went 14 and 11, 5 for 9. Didn't even shoot a 3. Played 32 minutes. I mean, they are coasting right now. Absolutely cruising. 40 and 19. I don't see a problem with the Nuggets at all right now. The Bulls beat the Cavaliers in double overtime. Really exciting game. Max Strus was hot. So was Donovan Mitchell. But, DeMar DeRozan and Kobe White kind of sealed the deal there in double overtime. They came back, actually, because the Cavaliers were winning most of the game. And then the Lakers and Clippers. Clippers were leading by a wide margin heading into the fourth quarter. They led by as much as 21, and they allowed the Lakers to walk them down. Anthony Davis went 20 and 12, made for 15 from the field. Rui put in 17. And LeBron went 13 for 21 for 34 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. Russell went 6 for 10, 3 for 6 from 3, dropped 18 points. Austin Reeves dropped 13, 6 for 11. They didn't get no contributions from the bench, really, besides Dinwiddie with 7, Cam Reddish with 5. But for the Lakers, the Clippers had no PG. So I'll give them a break on that. But at the same time, when you have a 21-point lead against a team that you're supposed to beat, and the 10th seed in the Western Conference, when you're trying to get to that number 1 or even get close and stay in that top 4 and not be 4th. Kawhi put in 26, 7 and 6, 11 and 19, 3 for 6 from 3. So very efficient night from Kawhi, playing 39 minutes. Harden dropped 23, 3 and 9. 8 of 16, 2 of 9 from 3. That's something to improve on. Of course, Terrence Mann went 7 of 9, 16 points. Amir Coffey went 3 for 8, 2 for 6 from 3 for 8 points. And Norman Powell dropped 14, 2 of 9 from 3, 6 of 15 from the field off the bench. I don't know why the Clippers allowed that to happen. I don't like it. It doesn't bode well for whether, they start the media machine, like, again, because Stephen A. today said, I need to apologize to LeBron James. He was sensational. He dropped 34, 7 threes. Good job. But at the same time, Clippers, what are we doing? I know you got no PG, right? But they don't have shooting. So, like, for you to turn over the ball, and I saw some bad turnovers that they just threw the ball to Taurean Prince in the last, 4 or 5 minutes of the game, leading to easy transition baskets at the other end. Got to give LeBron some credit. He did make some threes, some tough threes, some side steps and stuff like that. So I don't want to take away too much of the credit, but at the same time, you have a 21-point lead at home. I expect you to close the deal, being the Clippers, if you're a championship team. Quickly looking over the standings, the East is done. I can confirm that very, very with certainty. It's 8 games. There's no way that they're even getting. They've won 9 in a row. They're 9-1 in their last 10. The East is done. Boston is clearly going to be the number 1 seed. Cleveland is still 2. They're 8 back. Milwaukee's 8.5 back at 3. There's separation from there. 4 is 11.5 back. That's the Knicks. Miami is 13 back, 5th place. We can stay there. We can possibly move up, maybe catch the Knicks as they're still reeling from the injuries of OG Anunoby and Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson. Maybe jump to the 4th seed. Would be perfectly happy with that. We've been playing good ball. Won 5 in a row, 8-2 in our last 10. Looks like we're finally rounding up into form. Caleb Martin is playing well. So is Terry Rozier finding his rhythm. Jimmy looks good. Tyler looks good. We play Jovic. We're playing Love. Duncan looks good. Bam looks good. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is looking back to the form that he was doing at the middle of the season, earlier in the season. So 5th seed for us, pretty good. Still have to battle, though, because 76ers are also 13 back, and the Indiana Pacers are also 13 back, and Orlando Magic are 13.5 games back. So from 5 to 8 is separated by half a game. But we've won 5 in a row, so I like the way we're doing. The 76ers are still dealing with Joel Embiid. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 3-7 in their last 10. Indiana's getting kind of dangerous. They're kind of 7-3 in their last 10, so they're kind of putting it together. Orlando is also dangerous. They're 7-3 in their last 10. We don't worry about Chicago, of course, because they're going to stay there. They're 18.5 games back, so that means 5 games back of the 6th seed. And of the 8th seed, they're 13.5 to 18.5, another 5 games. Atlanta is 20 games back of the 6th seed, so we're not worried about that. That's already 2.5 games behind Chicago. Brooklyn has no shot. They're already 4 games back. The East is pretty set. It's going to be between who's going to make it into who's going to be second and third, who will be 4th, which it looks like the Knicks right now, depending if they can, kind of right the ship a little bit and win some games here to keep Miami out of it. But from 4 to 8 is what can change. Everything else is pretty much set in stone. Boston at 1, Cleveland from 2 to 3 can change. Cleveland, Milwaukee. And then New York, Miami, Philadelphia, Indiana, Orlando will be in whatever order from 4 to 8 for the rest of the season. Going on to the West, I wish I could talk about Charlotte, Washington, Detroit, Toronto. Brooklyn. Guys, these people suck. It is what it is. Like they truly suck. Going on to the West, top 4, with the Clippers loss, they're 4 games back of the first spot. So now it's starting to look like it's a 3-team race. 4 games back at this point in the season is gonna be kind of tough. They've kind of fallen a little bit in jeopardy of maybe losing that fourth spot to New Orleans or Phoenix, being 7.5 games back, 3.5 basically of the Clippers. Maybe there's a possibility there. I really like Minnesota, how they're doing. They're 8-2 in their last 10, won 3 in a row. Still the top defense rated team in the league. OKC's only a half game back, so that's going to be a battle. They've won 6 in a row. They're also 8-2 in their last 10. So I like what I see from OKC. Denver's cruising. They're also two games back only. Won 4 in a row, 7-3 in their last 10. So I think that's going to be the battle truly for that number 1 seed. The Clippers losing to the Lakers, like we said, they've lost 2 in a row. They're 5-5 in their last 10. 2 of those games without PG. I think 1 or 2 of those games without Kawhi. So get the team completely healthy and maybe they go on another run. Phoenix is 7.5 games back of that 4th spot. 3 games back of that 4th spot. 3.5 games back. 7.5 of the first. It looks like they kind of can keep themselves up there. It looks like it. It looks like they can keep themselves in the top 6. They're 6-4 in their last 10. So, do with that what you will. No Bradley Beal yet. Consistently. So we'll see when Bradley Beal comes back and if they get, they can get to clicking again. New Orleans, it looks like they're playing well, but they're 6-4 in their last 10. Zion's playing great, but they lost against the Pacers. They had a bad loss against, I believe, the Bulls that I didn't like. Or the Cleveland Cavaliers 2 nights ago. They're 6th. They're tied with Phoenix at 7.5 back, so they can get up to the 5th seed. And if they get rolling, they can possibly get to the 4th seed. But I think that's where they're going to stay at. Dallas is only a half game back in 7th. They're going to start putting pressure on people. They're 8-2 in their last 10. So, I believe that in that regard, I think Dallas is very dangerous at this moment in time to get into that top 6. Sacramento is 8.5 games back, half a game back of Dallas, a full game back of New Orleans. They're very much in the mix to try to get into the top 6, the top 5, but they're 4-6 in their last 10, lost 2 in a row, so they're not really with momentum. The Lakers just won. They're 10.5 games back. That moved them from 10th to 9th again. A half game above the Golden State Warriors. They're 7-3 in their last 10. And then Golden State, 11 games back, a half game back of the 9th seed, because they lost right before the win of their last game, and then the Lakers basically caught up. So they passed them again yesterday. If they would have lost to the Clippers, Golden State would have still been 9th. They're 8-2 in their last 10. I expect them to keep the run going, considering they have one of the third easiest or the easiest schedule left in the season. And then that's it. I don't think Utah will ever get close. They're 15 back. Houston's 16.5. Memphis is 22. Portland's 26. And San Antonio's 31. Vic is going to win Rookie of the Year. They've lost 5 in a row. 1-9 in their last 10. 9 in a row for Portland. 1-9 in their last 10. Scoot hasn't played. He's hurt. I don't even know why. Shaedon Sharp still hasn't played. So they're a mess. Gigi Jackson, they've lost 3 in a row for Memphis, 2-8 in their last 10. They're playing well, but they just lose games. Houston won't start Cam Whitmore, so as long as that happens, I don't care about Houston because Ime Udoka, as much as I like you as a coach, when you realize that Jalen Green is just a defensive liability, you have a guy that's way better, younger, stronger, better shooter, better decision maker, and you have him on the bench. I just don't understand why playing for nothing the rest of the year. I don't know why you wouldn't start him. And then Utah starting Keontae George, Larry Markkinen, Hendricks is playing well, the rookie out of UCF. Kessler, they're finding their way for next season, but the NBA looks pretty tight, but it's starting to come together seeding-wise, especially in the East. I mean, it's basically a done deal at the top, but very interesting to see how right after All-Star break, separation starts to really come about. It looks like playoff basketball at this point, especially between teams like Golden State playing anybody. It looks like playoff basketball. The Lakers look like they're starting to tighten up the screws. Timberwolves, although they're kind of lackadaisical in the first half, they really turned down the wrenches in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. They give it to Ant. Ant seals games. OKC has been playing a very good brand of basketball. Denver's the one that I say, they're in complete playoff mode at this point. They're cruising, but they will lock up defensively, get a lead. Maybe they're lackadaisical in the first quarter, but by the end of the second quarter, heading into halftime, they either have a tie game or a halftime lead, and they just run away with it starting the third quarter. They're kind of like the Warriors of old, where if they're even close in the second, heading into halftime, the third quarter, they destroy you defensively and just score, where you get into the fourth quarter and basically have no shot. The Clippers need to get PG back. Once they get PG back, we'll really get a sense of how this team is going to finish. Zion has to get better and better and better in order for that team to overcome the defensive lapses that I see in the second half. So I don't like having a 10-point, 15-point lead just be dwindled down by any team. I don't know why they can't just keep putting the ball in the basket, stop taking jumpers, let's get to the hoop, let's get fouled. Some bad decision-making by everybody, honestly, not just Zion, CJ, BI, some shot selection issues there. It takes maturity, I get it, but you have a very talented team that has a chance to do something. Dallas is getting more and more in rhythm. Kyrie and Luka look absolutely incredible. Derek Lively, PJ Washington, Gafford look like those stalwarts that they needed in the middle in order to anchor that defense in the back end. I like what Josh Green is doing, hitting threes. Maxi Kleber's back to space out the floor, so I like what Dallas is doing. I would like them to dominate a little bit more. They're kind of getting behind in some games and having Luka to work extra hard and Kyrie extra hard to finish games, but they're the two of the best clutch scorers in the NBA this season and over the last few seasons, so I'm not really worried about if it's a tight game in the fourth because they have Luka and Kyrie, especially in the playoffs, but I would not like it if it's possible to have a big lead in the fourth or going into the fourth or late third and being able to just lock down defensively while you keep scoring so you don't let that threat of a team hanging around and possibly getting a win off of you like the Cleveland Cavaliers did with the Max Strus heave from 59 feet. The Max Strus scored 9 points in a matter of like a minute and a half, and then he hit 4 threes and then hit the last 3 from 59 feet after Luka dropped it off to PJ Washington to dunk it to take a 1-point lead. But other than that, I think that every sport is really getting its stride, even the NFL, the offseason, combine, all that. The MLB looks very exciting. The NBA is really starting to level up the fever pitch, as in hustle, defensive plays, urgency, clutch performances. The stars are really starting to shine, and I'm excited for the playoffs to start. Formula One is right around the corner. We have Las Vegas this week for NASCAR. Excuse me I'm just excited. But all that and much more, because we have free agency, of course, to come, and who's going to get franchise tagged, the trades. We haven't had any deals yet, but I'm pretty sure Justin Fields will get traded somewhere in this week, if not early next week. I believe it's going to be Atlanta. I'm pretty sure that Atlanta is the front-running team, is the best fit. He's going to be home. I believe that's going to help Atlanta land him. Other people have the Steelers, but also other people have the Steelers with Russell Wilson. That'll be interesting. But all these deals will get done. Are the Bears going to move? I don't think so, but can they? Is Patriots going to stay there, take Drake May? Are they going to trade back and get more picks as they usually do? Bill's not there anymore, so I think they're going to pick Drake May. But all these questions and much more that are going to be answered over the next few weeks. So I'm very, very excited. So that's episode 86 of the Exec Talk with El Velez. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I love you guys. Thank you for all the support. And I leave you with the outro.
El exec, el exec, el exec.